Okay, we're going to share a very short vart. Two short varts. We have 5 minutes on the clock. The first thought I'd like to share is this week's parsha. We have the misoinanin. We have all the complainers, and you read the parsha and you wonder. It's odd. It's bizarre. Klal Yisrael just left Mitzrayim. Klal Yisrael got the Torah. Klal Yisrael went through the Yam, and they're complaining. And what are they complaining about? They're complaining that they want beef. So I understand. We all want meat, but they ate the mun. So everyone asked the kasha, and there's many truths. And but my chavrusa, some of the chavra here might even know him, Meir Kiffel, showed me a beautiful shtickle from Rav Chatzkel Abramsky, and it's a more a thematic idea about Klal Yisrael complaining in the Midbar, the Dardeya. These are people that were the greatest of the great, and he explains it with the following mashal. Chatzkel says he was Purim time, and there was one little boy. Everyone's busy, groggering, humming. Obviously, Kidarkoi, whoever's been by us for Megillah, obviously you get a grogger like a mensch, and mitaf sign. Yeah, the Olam understands. Beautiful. But there was one little boy that he was sitting there, no grogger, no nothing. So Rav Chatzkel Abramsky afterwards goes over to the boy and he says, "What's going on?" Kid says, "I'm a yasam. I don't have a father. No one bought me a grogger." Says Rav Chatzkel Abramsky, the Yidden were complainers, but what were they complaining to? They were crying out to their father. They knew where everything came from. They cried out, Hashem, I want this. Hashem, I want that. Kids, sometimes we tell them, stop fetching, stop complaining. It's true, but at least they're coming to us to complain. At least the child is coming and saying, Daddy, Abba, Tati, Mommy, I want this, I want that. God forbid. We never want to think of the opposite. Ever want to think if the kid wouldn't come to us? The kid would go elsewhere for what he wants. So Klal Yisrael, the Dardeya, the highest level, says Rav Chatzkel Abramsky, such an eye-opening idea that yes, maybe they shouldn't have complained, and maybe they should have been a higher level. We can answer all the truths in. But he says, let's realize that we could glean such a beautiful lesson from here. And we can realize that when we want to complain and something's not going well. I recently heard from Yitzhak Berkowitz. Someone came to him and said, Rebbe, I'm upset at Hashem. He said, did you tell him? He says, I should tell God I'm upset at him. He said, do you ever read Tehillim? David HaMelech is sitting screaming and yelling, kicking. Yeah, scream at God. Tell him you're upset. Have a conversation. Have a good, intimate, one-on-one. Screaming at Hashem. That makes it real. So the Dardeya, maybe they should have, they shouldn't. That's not for us. But let's all realize and learn from there the idea that when we have something wrong, of course, we do our shtadlus and we call up friends. We do all of that. But then when it all is said and done, we open the Tehillim. And you know what? Sometimes you don't even need a Tehillim. Sometimes you don't need anything. Find yourself a quiet corner and talk to God. Complain to him and yell at him and forge a beautiful relationship. It's one short idea. I just want to just end with another short idea. It's the most classical idea. You can't go through Behaloscha without saying this idea. And as I read this, it literally spoke to the share that we're about to have here in another 90 seconds. Ramesh Vainsky and Behaloscha Saneris, we all know the famous Rashi. They have to light it until what? It goes up on its own. Says Ramesha, Ma'ashayach Tziv is a dafka by the Shalhevis should go up on its own. He says, what's it's teaching us the classical vart when it comes to Torah? How do you teach your Talmidim? You teach your Talmidim that they should be self-sufficient. The greatest nachas a parent should have is when the child doesn't call them and does it on their own. The greatest nachas a Rebbe has is when the child's able to paskin on his own. When the student, the Talmud, knows what the Rebbe thinks, and he sits and says, "What would my Rebbe do right now?" And these stories we've heard from the Gedolim. So we're about to hear some, I'm sure, incredible Torah. Hopefully, it's bizarre and unique. Azayvi the Rebbe, Azayvi Rebbe Rudinsky. Not that he's bizarre and unique, chas v'shalom, but real emistic. I'm not going to tell over the story about when you met and the test and the DOS. And yeah, if you know what you're doing and you know what's going on, then yeah, then you could say it over. So b'siyata d'shemaya, we should all learn that how do we train our children? We don't train our children to be needy kids. That's a 2024 ideology, and that just spoils your kids and makes them horrible people that one day will regret. Train them to be bigger people. Train them to be people on their own. That's the way that the Rebbe trains the Talmud. B'siyata d'shemaya, we should all be zaycha.